If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have Julia Avila joining us on the program, coming off her unanimous decision win over Pannie Kianzad over the weekend at that absolutely bonkers UFC 239 card. Julia, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just got done working out, so a little sweaty.
So we talked about the shine a little bit off air. You have the post-workout shine, and I have the bald head shine. But it's great to have you here. Congratulations on the win. I've talked to many fighters upon making their UFC debuts, and they tell me essentially it's one thing to be on the roster, and that's a great accomplishment in itself, but it's another thing to get in that cage, perform well, and get a victory, and you've done just that. A little less than 72 hours later, how does it all feel?
I mean, it still feels surreal. Like, I was watching my fight 24 hours afterwards, and I was like, that's me? Like, I just did that. It's an amazing feeling.
Has it all really sunk in for you? Have you had a chance to really digest it all and smell the rose at all, or has it just been kind of a whirlwind since Saturday?
It still hasn't really set in yet. Like, I don't take myself seriously. I'm just a kid, like at heart and in life. So in general, I don't really take myself seriously. So like for me to say like I'm a UFC fighter, like just kind of doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't seem real.
One thing I've noticed throughout covering the sport is UFC fight weeks are just different than any other promotion. I mean, it's a well-oiled machine. There's things happening left and right. It's 100% a professional operation, and it makes fighters, at least to me, truly feel like professional athletes and even stars. Even for you, heading into your first fight, because you're probably pulled in so many different directions. How would you describe your first fight week experience, especially when, there's some earthquakes sprinkled on top of it?
So the fight week was amazing. And on top of it, it was international fight week. So like, it was just that, like you said, it's a well-oiled machine, and everyone's so professional and so kind. And like, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Like, I was a noob, and there's no difference between the way they treated me and the way they treated, say, Amanda Nunes or Jon Jones. Like, everyone was on a level playing field. So it was super professional, super just amazing experience.
This debut for the UFC seemed to be a long time coming for you, and you had an opponent, then you had to get a new opponent about a week away from the fight. Now that the debut is over, of course it all feels a little bit better with the win, but does it feel like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders a little bit? Like, you don't have to wait for a call or for that first contract to come. You got it, you fought, you won, it's out of the way. You know what I mean?
I look like a dad. Yeah, even with the switch up, like, I was just prepared to fight my fight. I don't really prep for my opponent. I feel so well-rounded and confident in my coaching and my abilities that they could switch it up day of and I'd be prepared.
Did I see on social media that Jon Jones led the team prayer for your fight? Like, that's amazing. How did that all happen?
Yeah, so I was the first fight of the night. I jokingly say I was the brunch fight. So he actually came in really early. He didn't have to be there till like 8, 9 o'clock. And he was there at 1 o'clock when I was there. And we had, introduced each other. And he's this towering, like, just specimen of a man. And I, like, stomped my foot and I'm like, I'm the raging panda. I'm a monster. He just kind of, he took a shining to me, and we got to talking, and I said some scripture to him, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to lead the team prayer for you. And I was like, no way.
What did that all mean to you, to have a guy like Jon Jones, the UFC light heavyweight champion, a guy that many consider to be the greatest of all time, come in early, volunteer himself essentially to do that for you and your team? Like, what did that all mean to you heading into your debut like that?
It just shined a light. Like, it just put him in a whole nother perspective. Like, we're all just humans, and we're just trying to get by. And it was so amazing to me because, everyone starts from somewhere, and it was just really cool that he, like, extended a hand out to me.
You seemed, at least where I was sitting, and I think a lot of people agree with me, you seemed to feel right at home in the Octagon. I didn't detect a lot of Octagon jitters or anything like that. Like you said, you kind of seemed like you were a kid, like making her UFC debut. When you made your walk and got into the cage and you're waiting for the referee to say fight, like what were those moments like for you?
So I'm kind of socially awkward. I don't really like fit in most places, and there's one thing that makes sense to me, and that's fighting. That's being an athlete. So that's home. You know, that's where I belong, and so that's why it looks so easy, because it is, like, it makes sense to me.
Pannie's a gamer. She's super tough, and a lot of people coming into the fight, at least like the breakdowns I was watching, were saying that, you know, you have this overwhelming style. You swing for the fences, and while I did think you had that killer instinct that preceded you, I thought you fought a very sound yet very patient fight, and you got to show a little bit more of your game in that fight. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd like to consider myself more of a cerebral fighter. I'm very calculated, and you know, like I said, movement, body, athleticism, that makes sense to me. So I'm glad that I was able to portray that in my fight, and I wasn't just like a brawler, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm like a straight fighter or anything.
How did you get to celebrate the big win? You're in Las Vegas, which would seemingly present a ton of options for someone like yourself. What did you do to celebrate your first win in the Octagon?
So like I said, I got the brunch fight special. So I got my mimosa.
Did you get to sit back and watch the rest of the card?
Yeah, we were in the back watching the rest of the card. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go out on the floor, but I went out and I, you know, said hi to fans and kissed babies, shook hands, and all the jazz.
What did you think of Amanda Nunes' performance, and you know, what do you think of what she has done as of late? Because this is really special stuff that we're seeing before our eyes right now. What did you think of her performance and what she's been able to accomplish as of late?
Oh gosh, it was great. Like, she knocked out a kickboxer with a kick. Like, yeah, it was amazing.
In terms of growth, learning, and evolving, besides the win and the great performance, what was the biggest learning experience for you on Saturday night? Like, what will you remember the most in terms of what you'll bring with you in future fights following your UFC debut?
So there's kind of two takeaways for me. One, that the UFC is where I belong, and it's the best promotion. And secondly, as far as learning, I realized that there's a lot of holes in my game, and there's a lot to grow upon. And that's great, because that means I can still grow as a fighter, and I have the potential to be a champion, to be the champion. So, you know, I haven't reached my limit yet. And that's what this fight has shown, not only me, but the world. So, yeah.
I think after that performance, and I think heading in as well, I think you're on a lot of people's radars now. And I think what a lot of people want to know is, you know, what is next for you? And I'm not talking about opponents or anything like that, but do you have a timetable for when you'd like to get back in there? Or are you just going to kind of smell the roses a bit, kind of feel what you just accomplished on Saturday and wait till something comes your way?
So I have my stitches, so I am on a medical suspension, but they told me I shouldn't train for 45 days, and I started training yesterday. So hopefully they don't see that. No, I'm going to train to be ready, stay ready. I'm an athlete. That makes sense to me. Resting doesn't make sense. My husband can speak to that. You know, I would love to fight before the end of the year, and I would love to earn my opportunity for a title challenge by the end of 2020.
We got Julia Avila joining us on the program, coming off her impressive UFC debut on Saturday in the brunch fight, as she liked to say it, at UFC 239 in Las Vegas. Julia, before we get out of here, let the folks know where they can find and follow you on this journey on the web, social media, also shout-outs, sponsors, anything else you want to get off your chest. The floor is yours.
Oh my gosh! All right. First and foremost, I want to thank God for, you know, giving me this opportunity and giving me the drive and the determination to be here. You can find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Raging Panda MMA. As far as sponsors, oh my gosh, there's so many. There's actually been a lot of personal sponsorships. So for everyone in Panda Nation, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know you guys believe in me, and you know, this is for us. Like, I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for us, for every single person in Panda Nation. Thank you. But there are actual sponsors. So Starting Strength is my strength and conditioning. Oklahoma Martial Arts Academy, it's my team, my home base. Genesis MMA under Douglas Fry Fighting Systems. They're my team down in Texas, and everyone down at Genesis MMA. They're just amazing. Derek Atkins, I want to give him a personal shout out. He is helping all of the Oklahoma fighters. There's no teams there. It's just him being a good person. And TKO, Combat Sports Management, thank you. Inverted Gear for all your no-gi and gi apparel. Gosh, I know I'm forgetting like 10,000 people, but you know what? I'm sorry.
You have a big community of support around you. That's great. Oh, one more thing I want to ask you about. Did you get a shout out on the airplane on the flight back?
I did. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And they made me a pretzel crown with little straws and hearts. And I wore it because I can't eat it, but it was wonderful. It was so cool. And it just it was so heartwarming. So thank you, Southwest Airlines.
That is amazing. What a weekend. What a fight week it was for you. And congratulations on the big win, Julia. Great stuff. We look forward to seeing you back in there. Take a day off, for goodness sake. Come on now.
No. Right. No.
No smelling the rose. Really appreciate the time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good one.